Hello, everybody. What's up, man? This is Stephen Qualls II, aka Mr. Qualified. It's your boy, and I am here with a very special and nervous guest. Even though I don't know why, but everybody, for y'all that don't know, this is my lovely mother. You can go ahead and introduce yourself, mother. I don't want to call you by your first name on camera.
It's okay.
Okay. You want me to do it?
Go ahead.
Mom, introduce yourself.
I am Stephen's mom.
Oh my Lord, Mama, what's your name?
Oh, I'm Rita Griffin,
Thank you.
the proud mother of Stephen Qualls II.
Yeah, boy. You. Hey. You relaxed now?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can cut some of that out, right?
I probably won't, but that's not the point. So my mom is nervous because she doesn't know exactly what we're going to talk about, but I figured if there ever was the best way to kind of give an origin story for you all, it's with talking with the person who one, created me, and two, has kind of seen Qualified at every single stage and has seen me, at every single stage of my life. So I don't know, I mean, we could just start, when I was young. I mean, you obviously know me and saw me. I had this love for sports, basketball specifically. Something that I don't think you were ever mad about it, but I think you always you didn't want me to get so caught up in one thing that, I didn't know what to do if it, didn't pan out.
That's true.
And you did a good job of letting me know that. You never discouraged me from playing at all, and you never kind of made it seem like you don't have this chance. It's just a matter of, I think what I always appreciated was that you always reminded me of how well-rounded I was. As a kid, like, it's just, I just want to play, or it was just so focused on that, and you were like, but there's so much more that you can do, and so much more that I would come to really, really understand that I was meant to do, than just play. But kind of, I mean, I feel like we've had talks before, but, I mean, just kind of speak to, if you can, and if you want to, just what, as a mother and as a parent, what you felt like you saw and how you were able to kind of still challenge me and push me without discouraging me from what I really wanted to do at that age and that time.
Well, yes, you were crazy about basketball.
Well, still am.
Everything about basketball. And like you just said, I always taught you that there's so much more to you than basketball. You were good. And not that you couldn't have made it further than you did with the right opportunities, but I just didn't want you to get stuck there in case something happened. One day you were at school, and I think you were maybe a freshman in high school at this time, and because you hadn't cleaned up your room, I was cleaning it up for you, and I came across all these folded up pieces of paper, but they were poems or that you were writing, and I was just blown away at the content.
I remember you finding
the the substance of what you were saying, and even your style of writing. And that's when I encouraged you, which you didn't take, to get into the writing club at school.
Yeah, I think it was because they had they actually had a newspaper club or something at first. It just wasn't really prominent, but there was like a writing poetry club there.
And you went to a meeting or two, but because basketball was your focus, that's what you focused on. I remember the teacher who was over it really wanting you to come, but you chose basketball. But there was always something in you there. And when you got ready to go to college and said you wanted to go into journalism, I was happy because I thought, you'd be able to use the skills that you had other than basketball.
Yeah.
So
when I changed my major from journalism to digital storytelling, and I kind of explained what it was, did you feel like that was an even better fit than journalism?
I did, because digital storytelling was nothing that I had ever heard of. That wasn't a major when I was in school a couple of years ago. But yeah, when you explained what it was, I thought that probably did fit you better. But then I thought it also gave you the opportunity to utilize those skills that you had. And one of the other things that I always encouraged you to do once your situation in high school with playing basketball changed was to utilize your writing skills or your speaking skills. You could still do basketball, just not with the ball in your hand.
Yeah, I think it took me a while to not come to terms with that, but I think it took me a while to accept the impact that could have, or not even accept, but acknowledge it and realize it, and kind of get to a point where I wasn't being so naive and having tunnel vision of how I could, be around the game or even have fun with it. And it's kind of wild thinking back to it sometimes, because I kind of don't know how you really put up with me back then, because it was just it was all basketball, like, and I felt like, I don't know. I mean, I guess at the time I thought it, made sense. And I guess to a 17 or 18-year-old who loves basketball, it all does make sense at that point.
Well, that's the key. You were 17, 18. But I was a little older. And I remember going into your senior year, I believe, you wanted to change schools.
I wanted to transfer, yeah.
Because you had almost a guarantee to be able to play if you went to a different school. And it wasn't that I didn't want you to be able to play, but that's where I really had to be the mother and put my foot down and say, your education is more important, most important. And I think now you probably understand that decision a lot better than you did. You were pretty angry during that time. But I ignored it because I'm the mom and you're not.
I guess for me, I think during that time, probably one of the most difficult things was knowing that I was coming from my junior year, and I had a really good junior year, actually, playing JV. But I knew, and you knew as well, just the politics of my high school, and just usually how things go down when it comes to certain players and how the team was going to be constructed. And I just felt like I didn't have a fair shot, and I didn't want to walk in to those tryouts not having a fair shot. I think that there was still motivation at the time, but then I also I was coming off the injury, and I think the injury, and I'm not even sure if I've said this in some of my other qualified videos or interviews, but I got injured the spring of my junior year in high school, so this was after basketball season. I got injured playing baseball.
Which is what you really should have been playing. But anyway.
Everybody says that, and honestly, like, if I could go back, I probably would have tried to play baseball all 4 years. Not even necessarily with the intention of taking it somewhere, but just knowing. I mean, also, we just never know. And I was just as good at baseball as I was at basketball.
Yes, you are.
But I think coming off that injury too, I really felt like they had already closed the door on me. And I guess I felt like I knew I needed that senior year to make any type of last, attempt, splash, whatever. I didn't think I was gonna go anywhere and walk on. I didn't think that was really gonna be a part of my journey. So I just wanted to give myself the best shot. And I was training with Bijo at the time, and I just felt really good going into that year. So I was pretty mad. I was angry. I think it just hurt because, again, at 17, it's just, I want to play ball, and this is an opportunity where I feel like for sure I'm going to be able to play. And at the time, it was just about playing, because I had never been a person really guaranteed to play or guaranteed to have this necessarily big role on any team. At least in my mind, I didn't. But
well, see,
I was young. I got over it.
you were, and you did, but as a mother, I saw so much more than that.
Yeah,
and
y'all typically do.
Yeah, and the school that you were at, which was my alma mater, was one of the top schools at that time in the state, and I just felt like you and your sister had the best opportunity there from an educational perspective. The school that you wanted to transfer to was not a bad school. I just didn't think it offered what King offered.
It probably didn't, not academically.
And looking beyond right now, at that time, which was he wants to play basketball, I had to look beyond that and say what's going to be best for him in the long run. And, I made that decision, and it was a decision, and it stood, and you were angry, but I wasn't, and you got through it.
So do you think there, if it was another school that maybe you felt better about academically, that it might have changed your decision?
At that point, probably not.
Probably not. I don't think it
Probably
would.
not, because
I remember what you said. You were like, you'd already spent 3 years there, and because in your mind it was just like it wasn't, and like you said, it wasn't like you were dismissing the idea of playing, because I mean I think you knew that wasn't going to I wasn't just going to stop, but you were just saying you've already done your 3 years there. You've already, in terms of academically what that program is structured to be, you've completed the majority of it. So why potentially backtrack or potentially lessen that education for the sole purpose of playing ball? Because there was no other factor of me transferring other than me wanting to play.
Exactly.
So,
and see, like you said, and it's been said, that's all you were thinking about.
yeah.
And I had to think beyond basketball, because you weren't hearing anything else I was saying. All you heard was basketball. So.
Hey, I get my stubbornness from somewhere,
Not your mother.
Yeah, it's the other side, but so, well, with that, so then senior year, I've told this story before, but senior year, I try out. Tell me about that day for you, because I remember it for me. I remembered everything about the tryout. I remember getting the news I wasn't gonna make the team, and I remember holding it in until I got to the car, and until you asked me, and that's when I broke down. But for you, what was that like, and was there any kind of flashback or thought back to, this is why he wanted to transfer, or this is what I hoped he wouldn't have had to feel or experience?
Well, yeah, it was a sad day, because I wasn't even there to pick you up, because you had a car by that time. I was there to pick your sister up, but you came out while I was still waiting. And when I asked you how did it go, you didn't say anything. You broke down. It always hurts when your child is hurt, so I hurt for you. But I really didn't think about this is why he wanted to transfer, because basketball was not where my head was at. I hated to see that happen, but I've also learned in life that things happen for a reason. And I just said, well, okay, God, you allowed this to happen. You have something in store for him. Help him to open his mind to accept what you have for him. And to be able to move on from that. So that's where I never went back to should I have, I never questioned that,
and there was never a reason to, honestly. Not that you need to be told that, but
I understood where you were coming from, but my conviction was there beyond basketball.
Yeah, and I don't think I could even understand or fathom that type of decision until now. Like literally, now, just having to make a decision that other people may not be happy with, or other people may not understand at the time, but just truly trusting that it's the decision that's either best for you or maybe best for you, whether it's your significant other, any other type of relationship. Like I've had to make those decisions with Dad in the last year, and so like I said, I don't think I could really understand just really having the conviction to make a decision and stand on it, and just know that it's going to work out. But like you said, I think it happened for a reason, because QUALLified, probably the concept, the idea of it does not happen without me being cut. I'm probably not motivated or inspired to tell that story if that's not my story.
Correct.
So when I first, I don't know if I told you or if you just kind of found out about QUALLified. I really don't know how I brought it to you.
I think you told me. It was your first year at Mizzou, correct?
Nah, I started, well, the idea, the concept of it started, it was my senior year, because remember, I was writing.
Yeah.
I was writing on the team for that season.
Yeah.
But it wasn't QUALLified yet. I was just writing the articles.
Right.
But I did come up with the name my senior year. But when I told you, what was your first thought?
I was excited because you were writing, which was something that you were good at, and you were writing about basketball, something that you loved. So being the mom that I am, when you told me about QUALLified, do you remember what I did?
Not. Wait, are you talking about the stuff you sent?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she, oh no, that makes sense. So yeah, so when I think I first told her and explained it all, she got me, I think it was a coffee mug, a
There were four
notebook,
of them.
4 coffee mugs, a notebook, and
Business cards.
business cards, the whole nine. I was shocked. I think because I didn't think that she would, and she was like, "Do you have like a design or something?" I was like, "Yeah," and she asked for it. I had no idea what she was gonna do with it. Next thing I know, I got 4 coffee mugs in the mail with business cards and a and a notebook, and I'm just like, wow, like. But I think for me, I've just always been somebody that's really, it stopped being approval at some point, but I always wanted my mom to be on board. I've just always been a person that I've respected, and I've come to truly, truly appreciate the fact that she's had to make, decisions like the one that she said with not letting me transfer, and understanding that no decision has been made that steered me wrong. So knowing that she was on board with this, and knowing that I knew that she saw what I saw because I'm her child. Like, she saw me go through it, so I knew that she could see what the vision was. And knowing that just kind of made me very comfortable and very excited, more excited about the idea for myself. And yeah, so I started freshman year, and it started with just kind of still me writing and everything. And then I finally started the website, which was still, mainly just writing. And I hadn't even started really interviewing people yet. But another big thing I think that was, I wouldn't even call it a turning point in our relationship. I think it was something that just brought us even closer, was when things happened at Mizzou, my sophomore year. What was that like for you, knowing I was away? Like, I wasn't 2 hours away. I wasn't a drive away. I'm away, and you're hearing these things, and you're like, I mean, I could just drive down there, but I could ask him to come home. But I mean, either way, he has to deal with the day-to-day there. So how was just knowing that I was kind of in that environment, and just speak to what the process was for you in terms of just kind of trusting me to be okay, or having the faith that I was going to be okay.
Well, the faith comes from God.
Obviously,
And I did a lot of praying during that time. Yeah, 7-hour drive, I could have done it if I needed to. But part of me said he has to grow up. And I have to let him grow up. You're my baby boy, but I have to let you grow up and go through some things. And when you called me and you were like on 10 telling me about what happened, and first I had to calm you down. But like I said, really just a lot of prayer. And I never considered coming, because I trusted that you would be okay. I knew your older brother was there, so if there was ever anything serious, I could, talk to him, and I knew that he would look out for you. So that was kind of a comfort for me as well. But really, it was you learning the world.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that I tried to instill in you and your sister, and y'all thought I was being racist.
That was Leah that said you. I never said you was racist.
No, during that time, I remember, because I was walking to my car from work, and you said, "Ma, I get it now. I get it." And we thought you were being racist, but you were just trying to prepare us for what we were going to encounter in the world. And I remember just stopping on the skywalk, going to the parking structure, and really just kind of praising God inside at that moment, because it's like, okay, they got it, or he got it at least. And your sister went through some things a couple years later where it came, to realization for her as well. But once you got it, I just trusted that, once again, I had instilled enough in you for you to, maneuver your way through it in a positive way, which is what I always taught you. There were always options to do things that weren't positive, and I just, hope that you would deal with things positively. So.
Definitely. I mean, and also I think that's something, obviously there are things I'm never going to really be able to fully understand until I become a parent, but when you talk about that moment where we get it, we've talked about it a lot, where, there are things that I'll call you sometimes like, "Ma, I know you've been saying this for like 3-4 years, but I get it now, you know. But when we get something, you know, as your children, and something that you either have kind of just been waiting for us to get, or something that you've kind of been telling us, but we finally had the experience to get for ourselves. What is that feeling like as a parent?
Oh, that's an amazing feeling because you know, there's no manual for being a parent, and even with the two of you, there were differences. So you know, how I approached you is different than how I approached your sister, but you just hope as a parent that what you're trying to instill in them, what you're teaching, you know, if you're trying to be a good example for them, that they are picking up on those things. And I guess for me, you know, the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. And, you know, a lot of times we'll quote a scripture and be like, oh yeah, whatever. But that kind of comes to mind in those moments, is that through the course of your years, I've taught you some things. And you may have not handled it the way I would have, but you handled it. And it was something that was in there that helped you to be able to get through whatever the situation was you were going through.
Yeah, I mean, and it's when I have those moments, I think that's also what college has done. I mean, me and Leah talk about it all the time, and we've talked with you about it, but having those moments where I think when we had a realization of something that you said, I think for us, it just made us appreciate you even more. I think because for us it was like, in a way it's really like, yo, moms are the GOAT. Because how did she know? In our mind, we like, how did she know that this was gonna happen? Like, even if it didn't happen specifically, you know, the way, you know, you might have said it or whatever, the idea, the concept of learning a lesson. When that happened, I think it's just, and it's made me, I mean, we've already been extremely close my entire life, and I feel like anybody that knows me well knows that, but I think the fact that we have just continued to grow stronger and even continue our bond, the older that we've, the older that I've gotten. Sorry,
I'm
yes,
not old.
right, yeah, you're 35. You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
You're
yep,
35
yep,
years. Well, but yes, but yeah, and so I guess kind of switching back, with where QUALLified is now, and I know I've talked about it before. With, you know, I had the website my sophomore year, and then my true senior year was the first time I really got actual content off the ground in terms of actually interviewing people, and then that halted for some time. But where QUALLified is now, all the things I'm doing in terms of the interviews, even with me doing behind the brand, and just really kind of opening up and being more vulnerable, and even with the things going on behind the scenes that I've talked to you about in terms of just some of the frustration of building something and trying to make it into something consistent and not even just aesthetically pleasing, but just something that people can enjoy and that people can like, you know, to enjoy. What are your thoughts or feelings on that, or me now, especially as I'm approaching, you know, that quarter age, you know?
Yeah.
Getting old out here.
Yeah, you getting old now. No, I'm proud of you. I had to learn about podcasts and that kind of thing because I didn't know what that was about. And once I started watching them and understanding, I guess I always knew that you wanted to get information out, and how that looked. You know, I'm a little older than 35, so some of that stuff was kind of foreign to me, but I don't know. I had to learn, so it was a learning curve for me as well, and just understanding what all would go into it. But then I like the fact that you were really driven. I mean, whenever we would talk and you would talk about it, it wasn't just, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, and then nothing happens. You know, even during the times where, you know, there was kind of a lull in production, it never died in your mind, and you continue to push forward to get to the point where you are now. And I just believe you will move even further. I've always told you that I believe you to be the next Stephen A. And
but you say I'm gonna be Stephen
I.
Yeah.
But I think you could do that and more. You know, I just believe in you that much. I told you a long time ago that I was just looking at you, and it's like God said, he's special. There's something special about him. And I didn't know what the special was. I'm like, okay. And, but just, watching you grow, watching you progress. Haven't always agreed with all of your decisions, but, you took a stand for yourself in certain areas, and I learned to respect that. I learned to respect the man that you are.
Is that hard?
No.
In terms, I mean, with me being, I mean, like in terms of like me being your son and just wanting to protect me, is it hard to not so much respect it, but it's sometimes hard to kind of acknowledge that part of it, like he's making a decision as a man, and even if it's not so much that you don't agree, but even sometimes I wouldn't do it that way, or
it's not, and this parenting thing is a growing process too. Both you and your sister have helped me to grow up a lot, and grow up just from the perspective, like I said, I'm a little over 35, so the way that things were done in my day, as my mom used to always say, is different. And it's not hard, it's just maybe an acknowledgement on my part to say, okay, they're doing this, and this is how they do it now. Both of you are not afraid to put yourself out there. That was something that I didn't have when I was your age. Most people know I play the piano, I direct choirs, I love it. But I never aspired to do anything more with my music than that. I never wanted to be a traveling musician or a famous musician for that matter. I just wanted to play. Whereas you guys, you love what you're doing, and you put yourselves out there. And I mean, I respect that in you. So no, it's not a hard thing. It's just me adjusting, and really letting you guys grow up, because I wouldn't want you to be 35 and totally dependent on me, for things. I hope that the lines of communication can always stay open, where you can come and talk to me and, get my advice, but ultimately you're making the decision. And in order for that to happen, I have to let go. As the old folks used to say, I got to cut the apron string.
Not cut the apron strings, but I completely agree.
Well, that's what they said.
Okay, so on the day that we're recording this, it's the 1 year anniversary of my car accident. So for you all that don't know, qualified viewers, December 26th, the night of, or maybe December 27th, whatever, that night morning, I had a car accident while I was back home here in Milwaukee. And I know for me personally, not only the events that kind of led up to that accident, but I think the accident itself, it changed everything. And I think it was, again, something that was unfortunate in the sense of, like the car, being totaled and everything, and me, being potentially in danger, or that being a possibility. But it was needed, I think, for me to have the mindset change that I had. And I know what I've, went through, what I've worked through in terms of that accident and things that it made me kind of confront and think about. But from, again, I love asking this because I think sometimes we talk about it, but I think even sometimes as time goes on, there's more that, you think about, there's more that you saw, and the answer becomes a little bit more, not complex, but it gets more layers, and so from your perspective, kind of where was I in that time, and what have you seen since that accident to this point a year later, and just what are your thoughts and feelings about that?
Well, first of all, I was worried about you before you left that night.
Yeah.
Because as a mother, your child, and something was bothering you. And it could be a plethora of things, but that's your word. But, and once again, I just, Lord, keep him safe. And when you called and said you had an accident, I was grateful that you were talking to me and that it wasn't, somebody else calling me. And you were just so worked up about it, and you were so down on yourself in that moment. So my focus at that point was to kind of try to help pull you out of that destructive mindset. I mean, and destructive from the point of, oh, I'm so stupid, you know, and no, you're not stupid. You may have made a mistake, but you're not stupid. And I was just, when I look back on it, the Lord did answer my prayer. He kept you safe. Even though there was an accident, even though the car was totaled, you were still here. So I was grateful for that. And I think I talked to you about that during that time, and how we have to look at things that happen and know where our help comes from, know where our strength comes from. You went through some other conversations subsequently before you left here, and you know, you had to make some decisions. And I believe that, like you started out saying, that was a turning point for you, because things that I have been telling you all along kind of came clear for you, as far as dealing with, you know, certain relationships and situations and how you handle things. Just kind of a side note, I always made sure you paid your insurance. And I was so glad that you had paid your insurance, because he was like, "Oh, I don't know." I was like, "No, you had. I told you to pay it." You know, just little stuff like that that, you know, made the difference in the end. And once you left here and got back to Missouri, you just kind of took a different road with your life. And you know, it was a good road. It was a better road. It helped to build you, to build your esteem, to make you a stronger person, to make you a better person. And yeah, you still call me sometimes with stuff, but I even through that, I could see that you were growing. And I still see that you're growing now. I mean, it's not a thing that, oh, okay, you've arrived now, you can stop growing. No, at older than 35, I'm still growing. But I just see, you know, a positive change in you, a positive mindset. And as a mother, there's always things that you want to see your kids do a certain way. But like I said, I'm learning to kind of let that go. I might tell you, but I will tell you. But the decision is yours. The decision is yours. And I trust that, I have to trust that, you know, I put something in you for you to make the right decision. So that's kind of what I lean on. So don't let me down, okay?
No, I'm not gonna let you down. But that's something you said before, and I think the only thing I can kind of attempt to understand from a parent perspective is that there's only, I won't say there's a stretch of time, but it gets to a point, I would imagine, that you just have to trust that you did the job well. Like you said, we're older, we're going to start making decisions for ourselves. There's a point where you have to trust that even if we didn't seem like we were listening at the moment, that we got it or it makes sense. But I think also something that you've done, you never, and shutout is not the word I'm looking for, but you never closed that line of communication if we were confused, if we wanted to know. Like when we were younger, you definitely hit us with "cause I'm the mama," and I said so. But I think as we got older and like you said, as we started to kind of, it's not like we found our voice, but just develop our own thoughts and opinions. And I don't think we ever questioned you as much as we just presented a different way of thinking. And I think that's possible because you always told us. There would be times when me and Leah wouldn't call you if we needed help, if we needed, money or something like that. And it would get to a point where, okay, we late on a bill or something is past due. And you like, why didn't you call me? And we like, well, we didn't want to. I mean, you taught us to be independent, so we were trying to figure it out. But the fact that you said, hey, like if something's going on, never feel so down or never be so scared that you can't reach out. I don't want y'all to struggle if I can't help. And you'll let us know, like, hey, look, I can't take care of that. No, you got yourself there. Figure it out. And we had to figure it out. But I've always appreciated that, and I think that's something I've always it's something I've definitely always respected and something I've always strived to do as well, just in terms of, with people, I love to kind of keep an open line of communication. And that's not always the right decision, and it's not always just good in general. But the idea of, one, just not dealing with drama, and two, not being closed-minded to how other people may see a situation, how other people feel, and disregarding those feelings. I've just always strived to be that, and that's come from, that's how you've managed our relationship as mother and child. But
yeah, with that, no, I'm not going to do everything for you, but I didn't want you guys to be hungry, and that's when it really just bothered me, and I could appreciate that you were trying not to call me, but you need to eat. So, you know, that's what I would always tell both of you. You know, but it did make me feel good that you were attempting to handle it without just, you know, your first things to ask me. So, and those things are what helped me to begin to see that you guys were going up.
right.
And that made it a little easier for me to start letting go.
Right.
And, you know, and trusting that, yeah, they got it.
Okay. Last question. The final question. I gotta ask everybody this, so that means I gotta ask you. But I mean, as this even feels weird asking, and it feels out of place, but as as my mother, you know, but no, honestly, just as a black woman, as somebody who, like, you're retired now, so you've done your career, you've worked, you've done everything, you've played across the country, multiple choirs, things of that nature, GQ, the band itself, you guys have done a lot of gigs. Just as the woman that you are, you know, what makes you qualified and everything that comes with that?
I think my greatest accomplishment is you and your sister.
Thank you.
And when I look at the adults that you've grown into and the careers that you guys have chosen, and the path that you're taking to get to where you want to go, I feel qualified, because I feel like I had a part in that. I had a part in teaching you. And I think I said this more than once today, but y'all do things differently than I would do them. And but they're getting done. So I had to let go of how I would do it and allow you to do it yourself. And when I look at that and I see that you guys are, I mean, if I can say so, you guys are awesome. You must have a good mother, no. But you guys are awesome, and just learning you as Stephen, the almost quarter of a century guy, and that remembering that baby that I could just hold in my cradle in my arm. It's just amazing, and to know that I had just a little part in that makes me feel qualified. And I mean, just outside of you guys, I look at a 27-year career with my employer, progress that I made there. I look at the choirs that I've worked with over time, and you know, people that remember that. Joe and I went to North Carolina a couple years ago, and I stopped to visit 3 young ladies that used to be in a choir where I played, and they were reminiscing on things that I had done and impacts that I had made in their lives that I never thought of from that perspective, because I was just doing what I do. But to know that those people feel that way, or that what I did impacted them, makes me feel qualified. And
it should. Man, y'all, this has been a great interview for me to conduct. I hope that y'all enjoyed me and my mom. As y'all can see, she is obviously the sweetest lady on the planet.
I'm not nervous anymore.
I can see that. No, but I hope you all have enjoyed the holidays as well. I know Christmas has passed already, but definitely enjoy the new year. Be safe in whatever you're doing, whether you outside with the vid or not, with little Rona. But nonetheless,
be safe.
Be safe. Enjoy yourselves, and I'll see y'all when season 3 comes back for QUALLified TV. Until next time, love y'all. Love you too, Ma.
Love you too, son.
Peace.
Thank you.
Of course.